Hi guys, welcome to Counterfire. My name is Connor, and today we are going to be breaking down why Creationist Cat was defending Frogan and why that's a horrible idea. So, for those of you who don't know, I need to catch you up on a whole bunch of stuff, so my apologies if this seems like a lot, but as always, we're kind of taking the drama, we're putting in serious things into it, and then we're trying to, have a little bit of fun with our drama while still learning things, okay? So progressives absolutely have to stop sweeping for terrorism. I'm dead serious. It's so easy. Just stop doing it, okay? Now backstory. So Frogan is a Arab Muslim streamer, I believe from Arab obviously is like an ethnicity that people use as shorthand for an entire region. So I wouldn't be surprised if she had a different ethnicity, but I believe she's from Lebanon. And so she was voted up-and-comer for Twitch a couple of years. She's actually still a relatively small streamer, but people know her name because she's a Hassan piker waiting room. I'm just going to be, real in that way with the orbit. She's a fan of and orbits around Hassan piker. Okay, now people were upset with her back on October 7th of 2023 when on Twitter there was a series of videos posted where a terrorist organization known as Hamas started massacring Israeli civilians, which can be upsetting. Not only is upsetting in real life, but it's also upsetting when video upon video upon video of massacred civilians is popping up on your feed. Now, she said that at the time that, well, lefties always talk about revolution. Well, here's a revolution in your face, and now you're all backing away from it. And it's like, yeah, that's because descriptively, warfare, people can enjoy ideological conflict between two armed groups and have their favorite. But when you actually show the intentional massacring of civilians, oftentimes people do not enjoy that on a fundamental level, nor do they think that it should be the policy of either armed group, which was Hamas's policy. They effectively slaughtered 1,000 civilians on purpose, not collateral damage, not airstrikes against an ammo dump that then blew up the building next door, not in a firefight and then they get hit in the background. They intentionally massacred civilians. Okay, so cheering that on, a little weird, a little gross. Well, it gets a little bit weirder because this was kind of like the tip of the iceberg when it came to terrorism apologia on Twitch politics, okay? So another thing that was revealed through the series of ensuing dramas was that Frogan, this Arab, Lebanese, Muslim, hijabi streamer, she did a fundraiser trying to fundraise for some goal. I forget what it was. But if she succeeded in that goal, she planned on baking a cake, recreating 9/11 in the Twin Towers. And I can't, I hope that's as shocking and disgusting to you as it is to me, especially as someone who lives in the Western world, somebody who speaks English, somebody who's streaming on a Western, social media app. This would be like me in the 1950s. Imagine that there's social media back then, living in Japan and streaming on Japanese social media and saying that if I hit a certain financial goal, I'm going to recreate Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Or if I was living in Germany, that I would do a diorama of Dresden. Or if I was living in Lebanon, as an example, that I would do a diorama of the Sabra and Shatila massacre. Like, how tone deaf and mind-numbingly stupid do you have to be to think that this is a good idea? And then not only that, how stupid does your audience and surrounding orbiters have to be to support you in any way whatsoever? She's an absolute and total flippin' moron, and I'm trying to avoid profanity right now. Well, after the October 7th massacre, part of the reason why people were recoiling and repulsed by the massacre that happened on 10/7 is because they knew what happened next. They knew what was going to happen next. I knew what was going to happen next, which Israel was going to respond, which just means more Muslim, Arab, Palestinian, I get ethnicity is weird, but people use Arab as shorthand for people in the region, that tens of thousands of those people were going to die in the ensuing conflict. And so you're cheering on massacre and terrorism that's going to result in your side getting its butt stomped in. So effectively, you're cheering on your own ass kicking. That's everybody knew that was what was going to happen next. And so not realizing that makes you obviously incredibly geopolitically and intelligence-wise dense and stupid and not worthy of consideration when it comes to speaking your mind about political or social affairs. Okay. Well, what happened next was kind of wild. Obviously, some months ensued, and TwitchCon comes around. I'm not sure exactly when it is, but they decide to have a Arab-themed panel where the panel theme is, who can say the word Habibi? Now, that sounds cute enough, right? You know, Habibi, somebody DM'd me, I correct me if I get the exact verbiage wrong, but it's something like beloved or dear, right? It's something that, you know, I often hear Arab men using it as terms of affection for each other, okay? And the categories are Arab, Arab-coded, asks permission, thinks it's a slur, and loves Sabra, okay? So they get a whole bunch of like cutouts of other Twitch and YouTube political commentators, and they post them in these categories, okay? But what ends up happening is Sabra is a Israeli-owned by the Strauss Group. It's an Israeli-owned hummus company. And also, Sabra is a town in Lebanon where Israel assisted the Christian phalanges in massacring several thousand Muslims. Now, the panel itself was fairly humorous and lighthearted, but there was always tinges of seriousness in there. For instance, they talked about the Jewish creator Ethan Klein, and they said, oh, he's a Zionist, right? We're missing a category. Throw him in the Zionist category. And Ethan Klein has not been particularly supportive of Israel in its war efforts in Gaza, but he also hasn't cheered on the massacre of Israeli civilians on October 7th. And as a result, he's fallen out with this group of creators and his former co-host Hassan Piker. And so there was this weird undercurrent of gross things happening in this panel. And I think it needs to be remarked as well that this would be obviously racist in any other context. Okay. So if let's say we did the exact same panel, and I've said this before, I'll say this again. I think it would be good content. I don't think that it should happen at the sponsored Twitch convention with Chevron, Capcom, and Samsung in the background. Multi-billion-dollar companies who paid to have their name in the background. And then Twitch, which I'm sure is a multi-million or multi-billion-dollar company, paying for this content. Okay? If you want to do it on your own time, that's on you. If you want to do it while getting paid and in front of multi-billion-dollar companies, probably not so much, right? But let's go ahead and put on our thinking caps and let's think about like the inverse examples, okay? Let's say that it was something about being white, right? Let's say we had a white panel where it was who can say the N-word as an example, right? And then let's say you have like black-coded, asks permission, thinks it's a slur, and let's say N-word with the A, right? And then loves mayonnaise, right? Let's say that we jokingly put some black creators in the love mayonnaise category. And let's say that we put some creators or famous people into the black coded or black category as a joke. That's obviously not going to fly, right? And I think you could do the same thing with cracker and, you know, as a slur, and then loves fried chicken. Use your imagination, but you can come up with a whole series of why this would be inappropriate and wouldn't fly past being sponsored by mega corporations, right? Well, what ended up happening was everyone caught a ban on this, okay? Everyone involved, and they're all kind of orbiters of Hassan Piker. I think it needs to be remarked as we're continuing that like there's two other people who I want to mention who have done things that I would deem incredibly messed up. One of them is the creator Denims. She is some form of Middle Eastern and North African creator, and she does she does Twitch politics as well. And so she had a chatter donate money to her and say that on October 7th, 2023, the chatter was confronted by her dad. And this is the most charitable read that you can have in this situation. The dad accused the chatter of loving Hamas because he was a Zionist, he was pro-Israel, et cetera, and basically was calling the chatter a terrorist, their daughter or son. And now the dad was anti-Israel, and then Denim said, "Let's go, dad." Okay? Now, that's the charitable interpretation. But because of the way that she phrased it, it effectively sounds like she is cheering on the dad now being an active supporter of Hamas, the terrorist organization. Now, I think with a certain amount of charity, you could go ahead and get to what I think is the more accurate translation, which is that her dad no longer supports Israel because of all the things that are going on in Gaza. However, if I was a creator and then I was like sweeping for terrorist organizations and then I had that exact clip going around, I wouldn't expect people to be charitable. And so Denims was on that panel. Denims was one of the creators that was banned, along with the other folks who participated in the panel. Twitch has been catching a lot of flack recently, and I would say probably the main reason is because of their tolerance of the creator Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker is a man of Turkish descent. He was born in New Jersey. His parents flew to New Jersey, had him, he got citizenship, flew back to Turkey, raised him, then had him come back during high school and college, and then he became a media pundit, and he's Cenk Uygur's nephew, okay? Cenk Uygur is another political pundit who runs the show The Young Turks. Hassan Piker wanted to do his own thing, became a Twitch streamer who comments almost exclusively on politics and drama, right? Well, Hassan Piker in the past has said that America deserved 9/11. So I wonder where Frogan got the idea to do a 9/11 cake, probably from her hero, Hassan Piker. He's had somebody, the internet's called this person Timothée Chalamet, a relatively handsome Houthi pirate from Yemen. And before you're like, oh, Connor, Timothée Chalamet is not Houthi, and he's not a pirate, and he's not a soldier. He has social media of him wielding an AK-47. He has social media of him being on captured boats. He has social media stating that he was hanging out with the hostages that were taken by the Houthi pirates. So, you know, I don't know about you, but I don't hang out with hostages who were taken by the armed militant group in my country. I don't go hang out on ships that were taken by the armed militant group in my country. I don't simp for them and do propaganda for them and say that I'm ready to die in holy struggle. That's not how I spend my time. So if you're going to sweep in my comments saying that Timothée Chalamet is not a Houthi or not a pirate or whatever, it's a distinction without a difference, even if he is a civilian who's effectively a propaganda arm for them. And Timothée Chalamet has posted, this is what we're going to do to all Zionists, and it was a man who was impaled in a medieval style. Okay, so basically Hassan Piker, not a great guy, sweeps for terrorists, sweeps for the Houthis, sweeps for Hamas, sweeps for Hezbollah, and he has been unpunished by Twitch. So everyone gets banned except for Hassan. Well, enter Creationist Cat. All right, Creationist Cat, also known as Hey It's Vadim, and he's rebranded as Hey It's Vadim. So if you ever want to go check out his content, then you should Google Hey It's Vadim. Was a atheist, progressive creator in the middle tens who kind of, I think he got close. When I Googled his main channel, he was at like 90 something K or something like that. And he did have some videos that did fairly well. But what happened was he split off during the anti-SJW wave. He split into the progressive area. And as a result, I think if I remember his lore correctly, he's saying that he suffered a algorithmic hit because he wasn't willing to go along with the anti-SJWs. You might famously remember him from Destiny drama and Hippy Dippy drama as the gentleman who got upset because Demon Mama didn't win the championship, and he felt like that was unfair, and Demon Mama was treated unfairly during the Hippy Dippy championship. Well, he goes on to the President Sunday stream and effectively argues that he's surprised that President Sunday doesn't defend the Arab creators who have been banned by Twitch. I think President Sunday correctly says that not only does he not care about the ban of these creators, but he's actually in favor of these people being pushed by the wayside because he understands the financial and public pressure that Twitch is under at this time. And he actually wants these people to get clapped because they're glorifying terrorism, thus making the left optically and pragmatically look infinitely worse. And so he doesn't want to be associated with them at all. Now, Hey It's Vadim turns around and argues, well, hey, this is actually effectively Islamophobic because you're banning all these Arab Muslim creators who are talking about their perspective based off of their experience. Now, my frustration with this is that the only way that you could arrive at we should allow Arab creators or Muslim creators or people from the Middle East and North Africa to glorify terrorist organizations on social media without punishment from social media is if you do the Oppression Olympics. Okay, it's if you look at, okay, well, there were Jewish civilians that were massacred, there were Muslim and Arab and Palestinian civilians that were massacred, but, you know, which minority is more oppressed in this situation? Well, Israel has more power, more weapons, more this, more that. So as a result, I think that the Arab Muslim creators should be able to talk smack about Israel and Jewish creators and Arab creators without punishment. And also several of them should be able to glorify terrorist organizations without punishment. I think that's the only way that you can possibly get to that. And I know it's kind of like a joke or a meme, but I don't know how much of this is responsible for people being turned off by the left. I will tell you that it's something that absolutely turns me off from the left. It's why I would never identify as a progressive. It's why I probably wouldn't identify as a liberal, because even if you put a capital L liberal function on it, that thought process is totally contradictory to my own. My own is what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you want to do racist panels about, who can say what words in different languages, I'm all for it, but we're all going to do it. Okay, we're going to have a cracker panel. We're going to have an N-word with an A panel. We're going to talk about mayonnaise. We're going to talk about fried chicken. We're going to talk about watermelon. We're going to talk about, beans and rice. We're going to talk about, hot sauce. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But the reason why is because, weirdly enough, I view human beings as like somewhat, maybe not equal. We're all different in our own ways, and we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, but we should have an equal playing field when it comes to how we interact with each other on a societal basis. And so it blows my mind. The more I think about it, it blows my mind that one, people would be willing to defend and sweep for Frogan. And then two, that it was probably because Frogan only has 150 to 200 people who watch her on YouTube last time I checked. I could be totally wrong, but that's just my guess. I can't believe that an angry mob didn't show up to her house to beat her up. That's insane. You were planning on making a 9/11 diorama. Okay. That's criminally insane. I couldn't, should I go make a diorama of Guantanamo Bay? Like, are you absolutely out of your flipping mind? And I'll try to stop thinking about it because I'm starting to get angry. But anyways, so trying to take away the serious from the silly. Okay, what really happened is Arab creators got away with talking smack about the United States and talking smack about Jews in Israel for a really long time, probably because of oppression Olympics thinking. It finally became aware to the broader public because Twitch had swept for these people. Then a giant poop storm hit Twitch, and they had to ban the people who had participated in a cheekily racist panel. And now we're kind of all waiting for the dust to settle, because Israel and Gaza are still unknown quantities and how that's going to resolve. And also there's unresolved tension between Jews and Muslims that is also unresolved. And we're probably all going to suffer more heavy-handed Israeli destruction of Palestinian territory, and we're probably going to suffer more jihadist terrorist attacks. And not being able to talk about it is probably contributing to the problem. That would be my guess. And allowing people to talk about how they support terrorist organizations without criticism, I think, is wildly unhealthy. So yeah, there we go. That's my summary of the drama. I appreciate you. Catch you in the next one. Hope you had a good time. Godspeed. Bye for now.